These aren't just Washington quarters. They're five silent time capsules hiding in everyday change, minting errors, vanished varieties, and multi-million-dollar secrets that slipped through U.S. Mint hands and now trade for fortunes. From the elusive 1932 S to the mistake-struck double-die legends, these five rare Washington quarters can turn a single coin into a collector's payday. If you've ever held a quarter, you might already be holding history, worth far more than 25 cents. Before you spend your next quarter, stop, because hidden among ordinary pocket change are five Washington quarters so rare that collectors chase them like treasure hunters chasing lost gold. These coins carry minting flaws, low mintages, and secret varieties that slipped into circulation unnoticed. One lucky find can turn a simple 25-cent piece into hundreds, thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars. These aren't coins. They're jackpots hiding in plain sight. Imagine holding in your hand a small piece of metal that has traveled through the decades carrying the story of American history, its silver-colored surface hiding secrets of minting craftsmanship, politics, and economic evolution, the 1972 Washington. Quarter may look like an ordinary coin to most people, but behind that simple design lies a fascinating story of precision artistry and the changing spirit of a nation. Today, we will unfold the complete professional history of the 1972 Washington quarter, exploring every detail from its creation at the United States Mint to the rarest varieties that still make collectors chase them across the globe. Stay tuned, because by the end of this journey, you will never look at a quarter the same. Way again, this is not just a coin. It's a chapter of American legacy frozen in metal. The year was 1972. America stood in a unique moment of its history. The Vietnam War was still ongoing. The space race had already placed mankind on the moon, and the nation was entering a time of both innovation and uncertainty. Amidst all these events, the United States Mint continued its timeless duty, producing the coins that kept America's economy running. One of those coins was the Washington quarter, a coin that had already become a symbol of stability and national pride since its first minting in 1932. The Washington quarter was originally created to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. Sculpted by John Flanagan, its design was chosen for its simple yet noble portrayal of Washington's bust on the obverse and an American eagle with wings spread wide on the reverse. This design remained untouched for decades, and by 1972 it had already become one of the most recognized coin designs in the world. Now, the 1972 Washington quarter was struck primarily in two mints, the Philadelphia Mint, which produced coins without a mint mark, and the Denver Mint, marked with a small D under. The motto, "In God We Trust," on the obverse side. Philadelphia minted over 215 million pieces, while Denver contributed around 311 million, which together made this year one of the higher mintage years for Washington quarters in the copper-nickel clad era, introduced in 1965 after the discontinuation of 90% silver coinage. The composition of the 1972 quarter reflects the shift that happened in American coinage after 1964. Due to the rising cost of silver, the coin was made of a copper core, bonded to an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it a silver-like appearance without containing any precious metal. This change was not merely about economics, it represented the beginning of modern coinage technology, as the United States Mint adopted new presses and refining methods to produce consistent, durable, and efficient clad coins that could withstand heavy circulation for years. If you examine a 1972 Washington quarter under magnification, you will notice the fine details that define John Flanagan's artistry, the curls of Washington's hair, the clarity of the inscriptions, "Liberty," and "In God We Trust," and the sharp outline of the eagle clutching arrows on the reverse side all speak to the mint's precision and evolving production standards. However, not all coins came out perfectly, and that is where the story of 1972 quarters becomes truly interesting. Among collectors, the 1972 Washington quarter is known for certain varieties and errors that dramatically increase their value. One of the most notable errors involves double-die obverses, where the inscriptions or parts of Washington's portrait show doubling due to misalignment during the minting process. These double-die coins are extremely rare and can fetch hundreds of dollars depending on their clarity and condition. Another known issue from this year is the struck-through error, which occurs when foreign material such as grease or debris interferes during striking, leaving unusual markings or missing details on the coin's surface in uncirculated or mint state conditions. The 1972 Washington quarter holds even more allure. Collectors grade these coins using the Sheldon scale, which ranges from poor 1 to mint. State 70 coins graded above MS65 are highly sought after due to their sharp details. Luster and minimal contact marks, a perfectly preserved 1972 D quarter in MS67 condition can command a premium price in numismatic markets, whereas circulated examples generally retain only their face value unless they possess a unique minting error or exceptional eye appeal. It is also worth noting that proof versions of the Washington quarter were struck in San Francisco, although no regular 1972 proof quarters were issued for circulation. The San Francisco Mint produced special proof sets for collectors featuring deeply mirrored backgrounds and frosted design elements. These proof coins, made in extremely limited quantities compared to circulation strikes, were a testament to the Mint's craftsmanship and precision. Each proof quarter was hand-inspected and carefully struck multiple times to ensure perfect definition. These coins were meant not for commerce, but for preservation of American artistry in its finest metallic form. Now, beyond the technicalities, the 1972 Washington quarter also stands as a cultural symbol representing America in transition. It was a time when the country was redefining itself politically, economically, and technologically. Yet the face of George Washington remained constant on the quarter as a silent reminder of unity and resilience through changing times as the economy evolved and inflation rose. The value of the quarter in everyday life began to diminish. Yet its emotional and historical worth grew stronger with each passing year. If you trace the journey of a 1972 quarter from the mint to circulation, you will find it in countless stories across America, from vending machines and toll booths to school lunches and small-town diners. This coin passed through the hands of millions, quietly witnessing the day-to-day life of ordinary Americans. Every scratch and nick on its surface tells a story of movement, trade, and time-making, each surviving coin a living relic of the early 1970s. Collectors today appreciate the 1972 Washington quarter not just for its numismatic value, but also for what it represents: a bridge between the silver past and the modern clad era, a coin that embodies American history in both metal and meaning. Many coin enthusiasts consider assembling a complete set of Washington quarters from 1932 to 1998 as one of the most rewarding numismatic goals, and the 1972 issue plays a key role in that collection, symbolizing durability and design consistency through decades of change. When we look at grading and value today, circulated 1972 quarters are common, but mint state coins are less. So the highest known grade for this coin is MS67, with only a handful certified by major grading companies like PCGS or NGC. These examples can reach prices well over $500 depending on strike quality and eye appeal. On the other hand, varieties such as double dies or off-center strikes can sometimes fetch prices in the thousands, especially if authenticated and encapsulated by professional grading services. To truly appreciate the 1972 Washington quarter, we must also understand the minting process itself. Each coin began as a blank planche, cut from large copper-nickel sheets. Then it was fed into a coining press where dies bearing Washington's image struck both sides simultaneously at tremendous force, roughly 60 tons per strike, creating the sharp details we recognize today. After striking, coins were inspected, counted, and bagged for distribution to Federal Reserve banks. From there, they made their way into circulation across every corner of America. In conclusion, the 1972 Washington quarter may not contain silver or gold, but its value goes far beyond metal. It stands as a reminder of craftsmanship, resilience, and American heritage. From its origins in the U.S. Mint to its place in pockets and collections around the world, this coin continues to capture the fascination of numismatists and historians alike. So the next time you find a 1972 quarter, look closely at it. You might just be holding a tiny but powerful piece of history, a connection to a nation's story preserved in copper and nickel, and a symbol that continues to shine even 50 years later. Have you ever held a 1994 Washington quarter in your hand and wondered if this simple 25-cent coin could tell you stories of American history, minting precision hidden mint errors and surprising collector value that few people even know exist? Imagine a coin that was minted in the last years before major design revolutions swept across the U.S. Mint. A coin that carries the legacy of George Washington, yet bridges the gap between the traditional and modern era of American coinage. Welcome to the world of the 1994 Washington quarter, a coin that might just be sitting in your pocket right now, but has a story deeper than you can ever imagine today. We dive into its creation, its value, its secrets, and how this single year became a defining mark in the long history of U.S. quarters. So sit back, relax, and get ready to travel through time as we explore the incredible journey of the 1994 Washington quarter, from concept to circulation, from collector to investor, from mint floor to global markets. This is not just a coin, this is a piece of American evolution. Now let's go deep into its professional history. The 1994 Washington quarter belongs to the long-running Washington quarter series, first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design by John Flanagan became one of the most iconic images in American numismatic history. The obverse featured a left-facing bust of George Washington, adapted from the sculptor Jean-Antoine Houdon's 1785 bust, while the reverse showcased the heraldic eagle symbolizing strength, freedom, and authority. This design continued unchanged for decades, except for minor adjustments in relief and minting detail. By 1994, the Washington quarter had already seen over 60 years of circulation changes in minting technology and metal composition. The silver content that once defined its early years had long been replaced by the copper-nickel-clad composition introduced in 1965 when the U.S. Mint transitioned away from silver due to rising metal costs. In 1994, the U.S. Mint produced Washington quarters at 3 primary locations: the Philadelphia Mint, without a mint mark, the Denver Mint, with the D mark, and the San Francisco Mint, which produced proof coins. For collectors marked with an S on the obverse, the Philadelphia and Denver facilities struck millions of coins for circulation, but the San Francisco proofs were crafted with mirror-like surfaces and sharp detail meant for numismatists and collectors. Alike, the Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 825 million quarters, while the Denver Mint produced roughly 880 million. The San Francisco Mint added a much smaller but more refined total of proof coins, giving 1994 a total production exceeding 7 billion quarters. Though abundant in numbers, the 1994 quarters hold particular interest among collectors due to minting variations and die characteristics that emerged during mass production. In this period, minting technology had improved significantly compared to earlier decades, but issues like die deterioration, weak strikes, and minor doubling errors were still present. Some 1994 quarters show faint die cracks on the obverse or the eagle's wings on the reverse, while others display slight doubling on the inscriptions, "In God We Trust" or "Liberty." These subtle details can raise the value of specific specimens, especially when found in high-grade condition or with full luster preserved. The 1994 Washington quarter also represents a pivotal moment before the great transformation of the late 1990s, when the U.S. Mint began preparing for the state quarters program launched in 1999. This means that the 1994 issue stands as one of the last quarters to carry the classic eagle reverse before America's coinage took a bold new direction, focusing on individual states and their histories. Collectors often view coins like the 1994 as the final chapter of the old Washington design era, symbolizing continuity before innovation. When it comes to grading the 1994 Washington quarter condition, is everything circulated examples generally hold face value, but uncirculated or mint state coins, especially those graded MS65 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, can carry significant premiums. Coins with strong strikes, bright original luster, and minimal surface marks are the ones collectors hunt for the most in the proof series. The 1994 S quarters exist in both standard clad proof and a 1994 S silver proof version. The silver proof contains 90% silver and 10% copper, giving it both intrinsic and collector value. These proofs were included in special collector sets, and their mirror finish and frosted details make them highly desirable even today. The 1994 S. Silver proof is one of the standout pieces of the decade, representing craftsmanship and precision. At its finest, it features sharp frosted reliefs, a deep mirror background, and is often preserved in pristine condition. Coins graded PR70 DCAM are especially valuable, with prices reaching into the hundreds depending on the market demand and certification. The clad proof version, though more common, remains a beautiful collectible, especially for those assembling a full proof set of Washington quarters from the 1990s. From a historical perspective, the 1994 Washington quarter reflects an America transitioning into a modern era of coin production. The mint was modernizing equipment, improving die life, and refining quality control. Yet the design still retained its timeless classical essence. The coin serves as a link between tradition and technology, bridging the artistry of early 20th century design with the precision of modern minting technology. It was also an era when collectors began to take greater interest in coin varieties and mint state preservation, leading to an increase in submissions to professional grading services and a higher awareness of condition. Rarity collectors often recall that 1994 also represented stability in a series that was soon to undergo dramatic change. When the state quarters program arrived just 5 years later, it transformed the public's interest in coins, making the earlier Washington Eagle designs, like 1994's, more nostalgic and historically significant. This gave the 1994 issue a new appreciation as the closing act of an era that began back in 1932, with the very first Washington quarter honoring the father of our nation. Today, the 1994 Washington quarter continues to fascinate coin historians and enthusiasts. Its abundance in circulation might make it seem common. But when you examine its story from artistic roots to minting excellence, from numismatic intrigue to its role in American currency evolution, you realize it's far more than just pocket change. It's a metallic time capsule, a reflection of both the past and the future of American coinage. Every mint mark, every luster, every minor flaw carries a whisper from the machinery of history. All right, listen up, coin lovers, because this is where history, metal, and mystery collide. Imagine holding a piece of American history right in your palm, a coin that tells the story of a nation's journey through time. The Washington Quarter, 1989, is not just a coin, it's a silent storyteller, a witness to the last years of a great era before the United States Mint entered the modern age of high-tech coinage. Today, we are diving deep into the history, design, production, and secrets behind the 1989 Washington Quarter, a coin that may look ordinary but hides tales of change, economics, patriotism, and hidden varieties that can turn an average pocket find into a collector's treasure. So stay with me till the end, because by the time we're done, you'll never look at a quarter the same way again. Let's go back to 1989. A year of global transformation. The Berlin Wall was about to fall. The Cold War was fading, and America was heading into a new decade of technology and modern design. The Washington Quarter, minted in 1989, was the final chapter before the dramatic redesign era that began in 1999 with the state quarters program. This was the last decade where the classic Washington design still held its full traditional look. The same portrait that had honored George Washington since 1932, created by sculptor John Flanagan as a tribute to the first president on his 200th birthday. The obverse of the 1989 quarter still carried Flanagan's timeless bust of Washington, facing left with the word liberty stretched proudly above his head, and the national motto, "In God We Trust," pressed firmly to his right. The year 1989 sits boldly below. It was a time when the mint's machinery was evolving. The metal composition was fully clad copper nickel with a pure copper core, reflecting the shift from the silver era of pre-1965 coins to modern durability. The 1989 quarter had a weight of 5.67 grams, a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, and a reeded edge just like every modern quarter. But what makes this coin fascinating isn't only its physical details, it's the era it represents, a period between old craftsmanship and the coming wave of automation. The mint facilities in Philadelphia and Denver were the main producers of the 1989 Washington quarters. Philadelphia, with no mint mark, struck hundreds of millions of coins, while Denver used its traditional D mark, the San Francisco. Mint also contributed proof coins specially made for collectors with mirror-like surfaces and frosted designs. The quality of proof coins in 1989 was a major improvement due to advancements in die polishing and planche preparation techniques. These coins reflected the pride of the U.S. Mint's craftsmanship as the nation stood on the edge of a new numismatic revolution. But let's talk about the design legacy, because every coin carries an identity beyond its numbers. The Washington quarter's reverse design still displayed the powerful bald eagle with outstretched wings clutching olive branches and arrows, a symbol of peace and strength that had graced American pockets for over half a century by 1989. This design had become one of the most recognizable symbols of the United States, representing both national unity and resilience. However, collectors and historians knew that change was coming by the end of the decade. The Mint was preparing to introduce new engraving, technologies and designs that would soon replace the eagle reverse forever. For collectors, the 1989 Washington quarter represents one of the final years of traditional minting. Its varieties and minting errors are highly sought after today. Some of the most notable include off-center strikes, clipped planches, and double-die obverse errors. There were also weak strikes from worn dies and slight variations in rim thickness, which collectors love to study under magnification. The Philadelphia issues often had weaker strikes compared to Denver coins, while the San Francisco proofs stood out for their sharpness and mirrored beauty grading companies like PCGs and NGC have certified thousands of these coins with the highest mint state, grades fetching significant premiums, especially for flawless proof examples or rare die varieties. Another remarkable element of the 1989 quarter story is the transition in public interest. Coin collecting was seeing a revival in the late 1980s. Fueled by hobby magazines, coin shows, and a renewed fascination with American heritage, the Washington quarter became a gateway coin for new collectors. It was accessible yet historic, affordable yet elegant. The 1989 issues symbolized a bridge between the early classic design and the coming modern commemorative boom. Officials at the time were already discussing potential redesigns. The Bureau of Engraving and the U.S. Mint had begun to consider new ways to honor states and historical figures, which would soon manifest in the 50-state quarters program. 10 years later, that means the 1989 quarter marks the end of an era, the last breath of the traditional eagle reverse before America's coinage embraced a new storytelling format. Each future quarter would soon feature landmarks and states, but 1989 stood as a quiet sentinel preserving the image of Washington's strength and the eagle's pride. The cultural backdrop of this coin also adds depth to its story. America in 1989 was changing. Technology was booming. Personal computers were becoming household items, and the Mint itself was beginning to digitize its design processes. So when you hold a 1989 Washington quarter, you're not just touching a coin, you're touching a piece of transition, a relic of craftsmanship standing at the crossroads of analog and digital artistry. Let's not forget the human side behind it. Thousands of mint workers, engravers, and quality inspectors at Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco dedicated countless hours to producing flawless quarters. The dies were hand-prepared, the planches were carefully fed through presses that struck coins at incredible speeds, yet every piece carried a bit of human precision and pride. The proof quarters from San Francisco were struck multiple times under controlled pressure to bring out every microscopic detail of Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. Today, collectors view the 1989 Washington quarter as both common and special. Common because millions were made, but special because of what it represents historically. It's the coin that closed one great chapter before another began. It's the last full-decade piece of American tradition, the coin that said goodbye to the past and looked forward to a new millennium. If you happen to find a mint state or proof 1989 quarter in perfect condition with deep cameo finish or an unusual die feature, you might be holding something far more valuable than 25 cents. And now as we come full circle, remember this: every coin has a heartbeat, every scratch tells a story, and every year carries a memory. The 1989 Washington quarter is more than just a pocket change. It's a tribute to American artistry, transition, and endurance. It's a reflection of George Washington's timeless presence and the nation's strength through change. So the next time you flip a quarter, look closely, because hidden in that shine might be the story of a world on the verge of transformation.